Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today's MTX show against all odds, from setbacks to success, the show where we sit down with leaders who turn obstacles into stepping stones and ideas into influences. Today, we have with us a leader who has been quietly reshaping cardiac care and medical technology in India. Someone who began his life in small town of Uttar Pradesh, challenges and yet against all odds, a hands-on entrepreneur who has built industry and value of the medtech community. Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, who is the managing director of Involution Healthcare. Hello, sir, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be at MTX show against all odds.
Thank you very much, Ritika. It's a delight always to be at Medgate today. It's very refreshing to see Medgate today scaling new heights, and I think it's a brilliant concept. I look forward to our chat today.
Thank you so much, sir. This podcast, or you can say a show, MTX, it's a Masterstroke Talks, where we will dive into the ideas of inspiration, the journey from setbacks to the success of building a small entrepreneurship to a bigger entrepreneurship, where you are now influencing, inspiring a lot of new people, new generation who are looking forward to come into the healthcare or in any industry. So before diving into the podcast, I just want to make it a little familiar.
Sure.
Nowadays, what gets you out of the bed when you walk towards your office or organization?
I think this is my personal belief that motivation is for people who do not believe in their goals. I absolutely need no motivation. I have a very clear vision of where I need to take Involution to, and I can't wait to get out of bed every single morning at 52.
Very nice. You have just summed up the whole crux, the whole motivation into these two lines only. So in the beginning of the show, I just want to know, sir, I'm very curious. A Hindi medium student, specifically a backbencher, who studied in a small town of Uttar Pradesh, now leading and hustled a lot from the setbacks, a company of more than 400 crore. So how did it started and what drove you into this?
So a lot of times you don't choose a path, the path chooses you. And I think that truly has been the case with us. The path chose that three of my co-founders, we worked together for a very long time. We worked in an industry where we saw there was a lot of need for improving access. And all four of us rather, the four promoters, we believe that healthcare, if not available, accessible and affordable, is not relevant in Indian context. So fortunately, we had the good fortune of working together in large multinational corporations. But all of us saw that cardiac disease is the number one cause of death in the country. And we will see dead patients arriving at large hospitals, some of whom had to travel 700, 800 kilometers post a heart attack. And we decided we had to do something about it. So once you find a common purpose, a common mission, I think the rest orchestrates into place rather easily.
The early life of younger self of Gaurav, who was very, you can say, underconfident, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely.
Because you were a obese who was 106 kgs,
yes,
who was not fluent and confident while speaking in English. How did you transform yourself and made an industry leader to serve for the nation?
I think coming to my personal traits and characteristics, when you're not, and there's a favorite saying on this in some movie that I saw, that if life has given you only lemons, make a lemonade and enjoy. So I'm not somebody who likes to complain about darkness. I like to light a candle and do something about it. So when I realized that the odds of my succeeding were very slim, here was a kid who weighed over 100 kgs, had his formative education in Hindi medium school, was not cognitively the brightest in his formative years.
Yes.
I knew that I had to work extremely hard at shaping myself into an individual who could be counted as at least who could be counted if not being successful. So I worked really, really hard on myself, and the result, I think, is that success is work in progress always. But I think I'm very satisfied with how far I've gotten, given the start that I had.
You were a student of biomedical engineering,
Yes.
which was at your time was very new. So were you having any kind of risk on your career? Because choosing a path, choosing a course which will lead to your success in the future is very important, and every parents always suggest their child to have that kind of course. When you were choosing biomedical engineering, was it your you can say curiosity, or it was God's plan which made you to choose it?
I guess a bit of both. A lot of times, to do something new, you need to break the molds, as they say. You can't make an egg without breaking. You can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs.
Yes.
So that was truly the moment for me. My grades didn't allow me to get into the mainstream engineering courses, which was mechanical engineering
Okay.
or electrical engineering. Computer science was just beginning to pick up. And there were two new courses that were introduced in 1992 in Manipal. One was printing technology and another was biomedical. And because they were being introduced in the country for the very first time, I had the opportunity of choosing between either of those courses. Interestingly, my first admission was in industrial and production engineering, and I could not draw to save my life. So I floundered around and I failed and I stuttered. And that is when these courses were introduced. And I found biomedical engineering very exciting because it's at the cusp of engineering and life sciences. So, well, it was a huge risk to take coming from UP. My father asked every Sharma ji, Verma ji, Gupta ji. Nobody knew about this course.
Yes.
So it was kind of a chip off the old block, but I'm glad I took that risk because I found my passion in biomedical engineering and in its services.
Do you think that taking a risk represent you who Gaurav Agarwal is?
I truly believe, and I'm not saying this with humility, I'm saying this with honesty, that if you're not cognitively very gifted, your risk-taking ability is intuitively higher. People who are extremely sharp are cognitively gifted.
Yes.
They tend to overthink before making any career choice. And in my life, if there's one thing that I can take credit for, where I think I'm definitely above average, is my risk-taking ability.
Very nice, so very nice.
Yeah, so I've taken a few risks. Some of them have paid, some of them not. But my risk appetite is infinite.
And there is a say in Hindi, in Bollywood, risk hai to ishq hai.
Wow, that's romanticizing risk, but
I'm just making it very familiar with this. Today is Teacher's Day, sir.
Yeah.
And in every profession, your first job is the one who modifies you, who molds you and makes you the best.
Yes.
So who was your mentor? What was your first job? And do you see any representation of your first leader, the boss of yours, into yourself today?
Oh, absolutely. Throughout my journey, I've been extremely blessed to be influenced by some very prominent leaders. The first, of course, was my father, a man of uncompromising principles, man of great humility and intellect. So I think that was the first influence. Then my uncle, who till date is one of the biggest art curators in history, is no more, Padma Shri Shri Jagdish Mittal ji. I was deeply influenced by his commitment to his craft. I've had the good fortune of working with some of the best bosses in my career. My very first boss in a company called Healthware, Mr. Ram Narayan, I think shaped my persona in ways that I can't describe. He was extremely driven, very committed, extremely sincere, very handsome.
Just like you?
and spoke English that mesmerized me every single time I heard him speak.
Wow.
So in some ways, I wanted to be like him. And a lot of choices that I made, the way I dress, the way I speak, the preparation that I do before I go for any meeting or dialogue, I think is largely, knowingly or unknowingly, I think a lot of his personality has seeped into mine.
So it just came into my mind right now. that you said, I said that biomedical engineering was the first course which was introduced in India.
Yes.
Like very first. So while having the placement interviews, was there any company who were coming at your university to take and pick the best out of the students?
Well, the truth be told, not really at all. This was the very first time this course was introduced in
Yes.
India. The industry didn't know what to expect of us.
Exactly.
And to make matters worse, in a class of 30, I was ranked 28th. Immense respect for those who were 29th and 30th positions. But I had no chance in hell of getting a job in campus. It was pure serendipity, a word that we discussed, that I landed my first job in a very nice company that played a huge role
Yes.
in shaping me into the profession. that I am
Exactly,
today.
which you talked about just
Yes, yes,
recently.
yes.
And you have worked in so many MNCs as well, sir. Just make us a little, you can say, nostalgic about how did you find your life while working at the MNCs? Like Abbott, Merrill.
I think I was very fortunate to work for some of the most innovative as well as employee-centric organizations.
Yes.
Healthware, my first company, followed by 3M, followed by Boston Scientific, and then ultimately Guidance Stroke Abbott Vascular. They were all companies that were known for being extremely innovative and being very employee-centric. I grew up in a very supportive, professionally, I grew up in a very supportive environment, had a great opportunity to work alongside some thought leaders in the industry. And all the companies continued to invest in my education, in continuing education. So I was sent to Kellogg's, for example, for a course in executive leadership. I did several courses in IIMs on various topics that were pertinent to my craft. And I think they shaped me into the professional that I am. I got the worldview that I have today, the relationships that I have today, and somewhat of brand that I started building. All of this I owe to the organizations that I work for, and not to mention Merrill, not to forget Merrill. I mean, Merrill played a huge role in shaping me into the individual that I am, in giving the promoters of Involution the confidence that an Indian company can truly break the mold, the glass ceiling, and innovate without boundaries or fear.
So when you were working at the MNCs, were you at the forefront or you were at the back front, like the back force? Because my next question is on this only. If you were on the forefront, then just resigning from a very reputed company to join as a CEO of a nascent startup is a huge risk, which you again took it in your life. You are very fond of risks.
Indeed.
So I just want to know, how did you make yourself to be the CEO of a nascent startup by quitting the job at the MNCs?
Well, it's a question that I'd like to answer in two parts. One is your risk-taking ability, if it's ably supported by your family, becomes
Exactly.
easier. So my wife has been a pillar of strength all through this journey, because when I started my entrepreneurial journey, there were several sacrifices, personal sacrifices that one has to make to ensure that the business gets off the ground
Yes.
and is able to stand on its own 2 feet. And the second part is, multinational companies gave me the rigor of process, taught me the value of innovation, taught me the value of quality, taught us so many things. But what I learned the most, which helped me become a successful entrepreneur, was honestly learned at Merrill. Merrill was a startup. All startups are chaotic, but I find a lot of peace in that chaos. There is so much of learning in that chaos, because you're not horse-jacketed to a particular department. And to your question of being the front engine, I believe sales or commercial engine is the growth driver for any organization.
Yes.
And I've always been in sales and marketing, so have never been on the back seat. Have always been in the driver's seat. But I think the flavor of what I learned was very different from multinationals to Merrill. Merrill taught us a lot about entrepreneurial spirit, about overcoming challenges, obstacles, fears, and I think there was a very good balance that I got from both the organizations.
How was the birth took place of involution? Just make it like, because see, in the medical device industry, there are a lot of segments where you can give your best.
Yes.
But you chose to give your input to serve for the nation in cardiovascular technologies and
Yes.
treatments. So how was the birth of involution took place?
So cardiovascular technologies, because my grounding in Boston Scientific and Abbott Vascular and then in Merrill was all in the cardiovascular space. So this is a space that I knew very well. Me and my promoters, co-founders, Ashwini, Atul, Sachin, we understood the challenges that lay. I mean, one of the big challenge was, for example, in 2010, if somebody had to undergo an angioplasty, the year we founded Involution, the cost of a stent was 1.35 lakhs. The cost of an angioplasty was upwards of 3 lakhs.
Which was the
Now,
out
which
of reach.
translates to, we are in 2025, which translates to roughly 9 lakh rupees for an angioplasty today. In today's context, how many families can afford an angioplasty that costs 9 lakhs? And we decided that India needed to do something to make this treatment more affordable,
Yes.
to democratize cardiovascular care. So that was the thought process. Why did we stick to cardiovascular care? Because I'm personally a huge believer of the hedgehog theory. Do you know about the hedgehog theory?
No, I just want to know.
So hedgehog is an animal, very nondescript animal, very unremarkable animal, but the only strength that that animal has, that it can prevent itself from attack from the biggest animal, lion, elephant, any animal. The only strength it knows is the ability to defend itself.
Very nice.
So it's a tiny animal like a porcupine, but every time a large animal attacks, he is able to get his spikes out and can attack and kill the largest animals in the wild. So that's why this theory was developed. It's called the hedgehog theory, that do only things that you're best at doing. So for example, you're a journalist.
Yes.
Imagine you were to start a construction company. You may succeed, but chances are slim.
Yes.
Right? So we found our hedgehog moment in cardiovascular. Even till date, we are diversifying, but it's all in the area which serves a cath lab environment. Whether it's neurovascular devices, imaging devices, or cardiovascular devices, the hedgehog theory remains at the center of what we choose to do.
Exactly. You can say the core of your involution.
Exactly.
So, sir, as in the beginning you said accessibility and affordability.
Yes.
And involution more focuses in the cities of tier 2 and tier 3. So how you are making it possible, and what is your vision to make it and the whole masses of India or the global, we will talk it later, to access it and make it more affordable, to make it reachable?
Absolutely. I think I said this at a very recent summit also, that India today needs to make technologies that are locally relevant yet globally scalable. So while our focus to begin with, especially with cath labs, was to democratize cardiovascular care, when we started the cath lab journey in 2018, about 2/3 of India's districts did not have the facility of a cath lab. Today, I'm proud to say that now only 1/3 of India's districts don't have cath lab.
Very nice, very nice.
So about 33% of India's districts today have an India-made cath lab, thanks to us and our competitor Allengers. But these cath labs are truly saving lives today. And another aspect to realize is that if you're a medtech company based in India, India is only about 2% of the global medtech market. India is about $14 billion. Global market is about $680 billion. So for any serious medtechpreneur, the market, 98% of the market is outside India. So Involution today makes products that are locally relevant, democratize cardiac care, yet globally scalable. So last year, we've entered 15 countries. The goal is that Involution products and services democratize cardiac care in about 70 countries by the end of 2028.
It is very much similar to our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision, make in India and make it
For
to
the
the
world.
global.
Absolutely.
So that the imports will be less and exports will be high.
Yes.
To make a whole. And in the recent summit also, Shri Amit Agarwal sir said that now India is looking towards as a leadership, not as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, Piyush Goyalji also very emphatically said, I loved what he said. He said that today, our partners, the whole world, is not looking at India as a consumer. It's looking at India as a leader.
Exactly.
You know, India cannot set modest goals today, and scale is not a problem, the ambition is. So I think there are several companies like us that have the right ambition, that have the heart set in the right place, have the right global strategy, product strategy to make them a serious leader on the global arena.
You have a very big company who is running and who's the Cath Lab, Make in India Cath Lab company. So when you hire people, what kind of skills, what kind of behavior you emphasize or you see while hiring them? Any particular thing while interviewing them, you look forward that person can, if that person can have that person is suitable to our country, our organization.
The promoters of the company very firmly believe that culture eats strategy for breakfast. You know, you can have the sharpest individuals, but if you don't have the right cultural fabric in the organization or the right cultural tapestry, the organizations will fail. There are several examples of very large organizations that didn't have the right moral compass or the right ethical framework or the right cultural tapestry, and they failed eventually despite scaling up. So we essentially hire people for their attitude and train them for skills, because I believe the reverse is not possible.
You are associated with very big firms like CII, FICCI, and GMAF, where you have the hold and where you can just speak out as a medtech leader. So how you are seeing, what are the need, want, and demand of the medtech industry at this point of time?
Wonderful question. I love the need, want, and demand framework. So need, I think very clearly is that India today, despite being a global powerhouse in software and in several areas of automobile manufacturing, is still 80% dependent for its medtech consumption,
Yes.
is import dependent. So the need clearly is to reduce import dependence or create import substitution with products that are made in India, for India and for the world. That is the need. The want is for the domestic medtech consumption to increase, one, and for medtech exports to grow. Today, for a $14 billion medtech industry, our exports are only $4 billion, while the imports are about $11 billion. So my wish is that by 2030, by the turn of the century, India becomes a net exporter of medical devices instead of being a net importer. And then the desire is that by 2047, by which time I'll be a very old man, but India will be Viksit, that in Viksit Bharat, India becomes a $100 billion medtech economy, is among the 3 largest medtech economies in the world, and is recognized as a global producer of some of the best quality medical devices in the world.
Very well said, sir. And as you said that you will become very older at that point of time, but still, right now, if we always live in the present. Every inspiring entrepreneur, the startup companies, or anyone who is very willing to their career, see you as a youth icon, as an icon who can lead them, who can guide them, and who can mentor them. So when you can say the startup people come to you to approach you for the guidance, what kind of guidance you give to them, what kind of mentorship you give to them, and what you urge to the other leaders as well. Like if you help to those startups, the next generation of our medtech industry will be best.
I'll start the reply with a disclaimer. I personally don't think I'm an icon yet, and youth definitely not. At my age, being called a youth icon is honestly embarrassing. But
No.
The advice that I give to startups that come to me is, I genuinely believe, like, the brain is divided into two parts, the right side of the brain and the left, side, of the brain. And very few people are dexterous with both the sides of the brain. So either you're right brain dominant or you're left brain dominant.
Yes.
Either you're analytical, sharp at organizing skills, innovative skills, engineering skills, or you're sharp at life skills, spoken skills, business skills, risk-taking ability. And I see exactly that divide in the medtech industry. I see a lot of bright innovators who have come up with brilliant technologies, but have absolutely no go-to-market strategy. And a lot of these in India, the journey from TRL5, which is a proof of concept, to TRL8, which is the commercialization stage, is called the valley of death.
Okay.
There are a lot of startups that are not able to traverse that course. And my advice to all startups is that find somebody as a co-founder who can bring you commercial success. Great technologies that cannot be implanted in patients are worth not too much. And also I urge senior leaders, there's several senior leaders in the industry today who've crafted success stories in medical device space.
They have.
My message to them is each one, teach one.
Very nice. Each one, teach one.
So I think we owe it to the society that each successful medtechpreneur at least mentors, coaches, and nurtures one startup. And if we do that, I think in next 7 to 8 years, we'll have a second generation of medtech leaders who will not only make the country proud, but will make India shine on the global stage.
And they will definitely contribute to our vision for Viksit Bharat 2047.
Absolutely.
So our tagline is from setback to success. While building involution, what were the setbacks that hit you and that only mold you into an entrepreneur who can lead the medtech industry?
Great kind of multi-layered question. So I'll start with a quote that you can't have the rainbow without a little rain, right? So every journey that is beautiful, or the other way to say it is that all rough roads lead to beautiful destinations.
Yes.
And the road to entrepreneurship is a rough one to begin with. We had our fair share of challenges. All startups do. But it was that undivided attention and deep passion for succeeding in the area of cardiovascular care that kept us going. So some of the tangible challenges, I'll tell you: access to capital. In India, as a startup, we don't have a very strong startup funding ecosystem in the country. The second challenge is component ecosystem. When you're making a very sophisticated medical electronic product like cath lab, you have to import a large part of the components required to build.
Yes.
The third challenge was finding the right talent, because this was not done in India. The fourth challenge was having the right regulatory framework, because it was not being done in India. Some of the standards were either not present or were outdated. And I can proudly tell you that over the last 7 years, we've overcome all those challenges. We were bootstrapped till 2023.
Okay.
We achieved a fair scale in size, completely bootstrapped, no private funding. On the second challenge of creating a component ecosystem, in 2018, 95% of our bill of material was imported. Today, it's only 45%. 55% is indigenous.
Yes.
We developed vendors who could produce high-quality components for us. The third challenge, regulatory challenge, we worked with the regulators. Fortunately, they were extremely accommodative. And we designed some standards. For example, BIS was the only standard for electromechanical equipments, and BIS did not have a standard.
Yes.
So BIS agreed, and the regulators agreed to conform to the globally recognized available IC standards. The fourth challenge, finding the right talent. We found young biomedical engineers today. 67% of our organization is fresh biomedical engineers with no experience.
Very nice.
So we hired, as I said, we hired them for attitude and trained them for skills. So if your heart is in the right place, if you have the right amount of passion, I think overcoming challenges are not an obstacle in the path, they become the path.
Yes, very well said. And now this podcast is really going into the proverbs and every inspiring sentences. So after coming, not every journey has all the setbacks. Without setbacks, no journey is complete.
Yeah.
Is there any global expansion of involution?
Oh, yes. So we've recently announced a strategic tie-up with Fortune 100 medical device company, one of the most respected companies globally. And the idea is to expand and accelerate a footprint globally and truly live our vision of made in India for the world.
Very nice, very nice. So while summing up the whole podcast, I just want to know one thing. The government is doing a lot and they have their vision along with the back of like the medtech industry. And recently, the government has given a Diwali gift as well.
Yes.
Any comment on that Diwali gift and how we medtech industry can use that Diwali gift in the best way, in the best possible way we can do?
I think the government has been extremely supportive in creating the right policy environment for growth of the industry. And the GST reforms recently bringing medical devices to 5%.
Yes.
And I'll give you a real example. In medical equipment industry, let's say you're buying a 3 crore cath lab or a 5 crore CT scan, 5 crore MRI machine. 7% of that is a significant sum of money. So I believe that the GST reform will boost domestic consumption. It will improve availability, accessibility, and affordability of medical devices.
Make in India, make for the world.
Absolutely. But I think charity begins at home.
Yes.
I think we first need to ensure that high quality medical devices are available, accessible, and affordable for Indian population.
Yes.
And then look outwards.
When we are in airplane, it's always a say, first use your oxygen mask and then help others. Very well said, sir. And we are hoping that in the future, like we are the hub of pharmaceutical, fortunately, by God's grace and by your hard work, the industry's hard work, India will definitely become the hub for medtech industry as well.
I share that enthusiasm and vision.
Thank you so much, sir. And I just have 2-3 rapid questions.
Sure.
My first rapid question would be, is there any advice or mantra which you received from someone that led your life here?
Have no plan B. Plan B is the biggest enemy of plan A. Plan B is already second guessing your plan A. I have never had a plan B. I tell my son not to have a plan B, and I tell every single metricpreneur not to have a plan B.
Very well said, sir. Now, I will also apply the same mantra in my life as well. Is there any book which you can just read whole day?
I have a very short attention span, unfortunately, and because I was not cognitively very sharp, so I want to read, but I don't read as much as I should.
Any any habit which you want to not regret it, which you want to reform it from yourself?
I have a massive sweet tooth. I hope that I can give that up someday.
My last. What advice all entrepreneurs should adopt? Or what attitude all the entrepreneur or leaders should adopt?
Entrepreneurship is not a journey for the weak of the heart. There will be bumps along the road.
Yes.
But remember, it's just a bend and not the end.
Very well said, sir. Thank you so much for coming here.
My pleasure, Ritika.
Gaurav, sir, thank you for sharing such an authentic and inspiring journey from small town challenges to a national building company. Your story reminds us all, limitations are only the starting line. Success to build one step at a step, often behind the scenes. To our audience, no matter what you start, persistence, perseverance, and vision are the purpose that carve your journey and that makes you to drive your success, to drive your dream into reality. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here. And we are hoping that the listeners who are listening to this podcast will be inspired and will gain the best out of your things. And thank you, listener, to listening to MTX Against All Odds, from setbacks to success. Stay tuned for the more episode which is coming in a few days. Thank you.
Thank you very much.